Signore e signori, buonasera, benvenuti alla Casa Italiana Zerilli-Marimò della New York University. It's my great pleasure to welcome you all here tonight for a very special evening. As you know, it's the closing night of the series Addressing Style for this year. And it's a series conceived, as you know, by Grazia D'Annunzio and Eugenia Paulicelli. A very successful series, also judging from the fact that two of the previous guests of Grazia are in the auditorium tonight, Fabrizio Ferri and Andre Leontalli, that we thank for having come back for this series. Tonight, Grazia presents a very personal friend of hers and a very important personality in the world of fashion. As always, it's her duty and her pleasure to introduce her own guest, and I have the honor to introduce Grazia to all of you, even if probably most of you know her already. She's a force of nature. She originates from Cremona. She studied classics at the University of Pavia, and she's the special editor for Vogue Italia here in New York City. I'm personally very grateful for all she does for the series. Basically, she invented it, and she keeps coming up with exciting proposals that she carries away from the beginning to the end, taking care of all the visual aspects, media aspects, and everything else. So from the bottom of my heart, as director of Casa Italiana, I thank her for the work that she does for all of us. And without further ado, please welcome Grazia D'Annunzio and Carlos Souza.
Thank you, Stefano. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And a special thanks to my dear friend, Carlos Souza, who was so nice and kind to find a little spot for Addressing Style in his very hectic schedule. And on a personal note, I really would like to say that I'm extremely honored to have here tonight Mr. Giancarlo Giammetti, who's Valentino's right arm. Thank you. Thank you very much for being here tonight with us. And as you all know, Carlos is the global ambassador at Valentino, a title that is indeed appropriate since in our world, in the fashion world, Valentino is the emperor, and I would say that Mr. Giammetti serves as prime minister. Am I correct?
Correct.
So, and now here we have the Mr. Ambassador. So welcome, Mr. Ambassador.
Thank you so much for
tell us, yes, sure, pleasure. Tell us how you first met Valentino and what brought you from Brazil, because Carlos is a São Paulo native, to
Absolutely.
Europe. So let's start also with our first picture.
What do we do? Oh, yes, there we go. I'm a young student in Brazil and going for Carnival in Rio de Janeiro, where there was all the parties. One night I'm in a nightclub, and there was many friends present, girls that now up to today they are dear friends of mine, and I'm on the dance floor dancing, and all of a sudden those ladies come around, and there was Lucia Curia, Georgina Brandolini, and also Natia Bascal. And they come, and we start dancing, and they say, oh, listen, there is here the gentleman, Mr. Valentino, a designer. Come and meet him. So once we go there, we meet, we talk, and I stay a few more days in Rio de Janeiro. We have dinner, we met, and I went back to São Paulo. I was 16 and studying, and 2 or 3 years later, I am selling in a store, because I used to study at night and work during the day. There is this lady that comes, Lucia Curia, and she says, hey, you here? We've been looking for you for 2 years. Valentino wants you to come and do a fashion show. And so that's what it is.
As a model?
As a model, absolutely.
So, and this picture was taken by David Bailey. This is a very important picture. David Bailey is one of the greatest photographer, fashion photographer of the 60s and even today, but in the 60s, let's say that Antonioni blow up was based on David Bailey's life.
Yeah.
So this is David Bailey photograph, and this is a Valentino campaign. You
there you go.
posing.
So we are in Capri here, and after this fashion show, there was a shooting to be done to Vogue. I think it was this campaign, no? It was a campaign for L'Uomo Vogue, and I am propelled into beautiful Capri with superstar Mr. David Bailey. That was great. Up to today, he still works very hard, and he did recently a collection for shooting for the Valentino campaign.
So the legacy.
A black and white, yeah.
It keeps the legacy
He's still
alive. So did you like modeling? This is another picture of you, very young, which means yesterday.
No, indeed. I mean, I work as a model, but it was not a huge success because my looks were not very. Everybody was about the suits and all that, and I was looking a little too good looking and not very much the masculine side,
the macho guy.
Macho guy for the suits of Milan. So right away, I switched side. I started getting interested in taking pictures that I used to do since I was in Brazil. But modeling, yes, modeling was good, was fun, but I never hit very strong there.
But here we go. He made a huge comeback last February in Italian Vanity Fair. Italian Vanity Fair is a weekly magazine, it's extremely successful. And we pick up Carlos for a nice story, fashion story, all dressed up in Valentino, of course. And Ciaccio Gambaccini was the style editor, and the fashion editor, Wayne Maisel, photographed. And this story came up during the Milan Fashion Week. And it became instantly the talk between us, between the shows. So tell us, how did it happen? This big comeback.
Indeed, a comeback after many years. But wonderful Sasha asked me with Wayne, that I'm friends with them for a long time, and she said, Carlos, I'm doing this series. I'd love you to help a little bit. Your take in New York, what you like to do, where do you like to go, who are your friends, and you're very involved in the world of arts. So I managed to get the okay from Larry Gagosian.
That was taken in the Gagosian gallery.
Yeah, it was done in all the Gagosian galleries, and he's very jealous of his premises. But also...
Just for him.
I got all the beautiful girls that are in the shooting.
Yes.
Those are all wonderful...
Your friends.
Yeah, friends and great good-looking girls.
And also Valentino
Valentino
fans,
class, big fans. The whole thing was a whole day, very funny with Sasha and Wayne.
Okay. As you told us before, you decided to shift between being in front of the camera to be behind the camera. And I think that one of the most important, people that you met in the 70s, in the second part of the 70s, was Andy Warhol. And you became very soon a fixture at the factory, right?
Well, no, I was very lucky because I came here doing a show with Valentino, and I remember there was a night, and I was taking pictures of the social scene. It's El Morocco, and I'm taking pictures. There is a lot of people from the New York scene, Halston, Elsa Peretti, Bianca Jagger, Andy, Barbara Allen, the whole group. And I taking the shots, and this gentleman come to me and say, ooh, gee, with your looks, I think that everything you ask, they will do it for you. Do me a favor, can I have that roll of film? I want to put it in my magazine interview. And that's the way I start a collaboration with Andy. I used to do a lot of pictures for the social scene. That was a page called Bob Colacello Out. And I did many, and then I did a lot of covering the many fashion shows, New York, Paris, and Milan.
Shooting less of the celebrities
shooting very much. There was not even a position for the photographers. You used to sit by the catwalk, and many of the friends that I have up to the day in the industry, I was a very young guy, and they would say, "Come, sit close to us," and all that. So I used to do all those pictures, and it was quite tough. Now it's a little easier.
Why? It was
No,
tough.
because before there was no space. So you should run and get. Now they have their position, all
Oh,
the
yes, they have.
photographers.
Yeah.
But it was tough.
But it
a
was
very
more
good
intimate,
school.
and it was, yes, it was nice.
It was a very good school and met
So,
so many
did you
people.
have any anecdotes to tell you about the factory? I know that you also became a fixture at the factory.
Well, fiction, no, I was always happy to be invited. And by the way, that first picture of Andy is the portrait that I did of him.
Yeah, let's
So-
go back. And
Yeah. So very young, I was exposed to this incredible New York that I got fascinated in 2 seconds the minute I set foot here. And Andy was a special person. He used to call everyone to the factory, and I met also my gentleman here on the right,
yes,
André. They used
André
to work
Leon,
there.
yes, as we know.
But it
yes.
was very funny. The lunches, the group of people, he used to mix social and artists or ladies uptown and cutting edge artists from downtown.
Downtown.
Which was amazing. It was very, very funny. And there you go,
Oh,
also
sorry.
drag queens.
Yeah. This is a selection of the covers of Interview magazine, the way he looked when Carlos started working for Andy
they were
Warhol.
done by Richard Bursting, no? Richard Bursting, that was good. And I even managed to shoot one cover for it.
Yes, you told me that once.
Yeah.
Tell us.
It is a lady that was called Ronnie Blakely, and she used to be a star. Nashville. She did Nashville with Altman. And I did the cover, and they say, "Oh, you here? Shoot her." I'll say. So I did it, and I have also my cover of Interview.
But we found also something else because the lure of the camera is quite strong. So you became also Interman, right?
Oh yes, Andy.
Tell us about that because
There
a lot
is
of people
also-
don't know how Interview was conceived back
Yeah.
then.
Interview was great because a lot of people used to do interview one personality to another. And he used also to do 2 centerfolds. There was the Interman and the Intergirl. And I was invited to be one of the Intermans. And this is a picture in Rio de Janeiro done by a friend of mine that was a model as well, Pelito Galvez. And this picture took me a long way because with this picture in Interman, I got a great contract in Japan. And I did modeling there, and I did a lot of work. And at 22, I was traveling 2 or 3 times a year to Japan to spend time there, a new culture that was quite special, really great. And with Issei Miyake that made the connection. But all through this picture of Interman.
And you came back also because they wanted to have you again.
Oh yeah, then
Interview.
Sometime I met with Ingrid Sishi that used to work with Interview as well, and she published again this picture because I was asked twice to be the Interman, and she said, by public demand, he's back.
So I also heard that in the late 70s you worked for Harper's Bazaar, another magazine that was, it's still very influential, but the Italian Harper's Bazaar was, quite strong. It doesn't exist anymore. And
it was our dear friend Pepone della Schiava. And
what did you do there?
I used to take pictures. I start as I was collaborating with Interview in all the fashion shows and covering the shows. Harper's Bazaar asked me to start doing the same. So I did for 1 year or 2 years that, and then they started a magazine called Men's Bazaar. And Men's Bazaar was all photographed in America with this wonderful editor called Lisette Catin, a dear friend up to today. And Lisette, we used to go to Milan, and 4 times a year we arrived with trunks, and it was a quarterly magazine. And we used to be in uptown New York, 16 East 78, have a beautiful townhouse there. And we used to come and shoot with all the photographers, great photographers that we start looking at and discovering.
Like, for instance, who did you discover?
He was already somebody established in the world of fashion, but one of the first shooting ever done was Steven Maisel, because we used to look at all those models, casting the models to do the shootings, and those boys from downtown used to come with black and white tests, and we used to look at those pictures and say, but who shoot that? Oh, no, it's a guy downtown. Say, a guy downtown. Give the name. It's Steven Maisel. And he was already a great illustrator for Women's Wear Daily. And he haven't published yet pictures. So we contact the gentleman and say, would you please come and talk to us? And with Lisette Catin, we offer a shooting, a spread on Harper's Bazaar. And he say, well, I'll do that, but just want to make sure I would be responsible for the hair and the makeup. So we have those 4 guys. It was a shooting all in white. And all in motorcycles with crazy punk hairdos and a lot of makeup.
Yeah, because back then also Maisel was a kid,
Underground.
a very underground, a club kid at the Mud Club downtown.
That's it.
I mean, in a kind of punkish
So that's the way.
incarnation.
And I still talk to Steven sometimes, and I say, remember, it was on the first shootings he ever published as a photographer. And I even managed to get 2 pictures. He gave it to me.
That's good. That's good. Bravo. So in those years, you were also so busy to find the right girl of your life and marry her. Tell about Charlene.
There you go. That's my wife, the mother of my kids, a dear part of our family. Charlene, that I met in Brazil. And then I went back to Brazil on 83. And we got married, and we have our first son, Sean. I have 2 kids, Sean and Anthony. Very good boys.
We will see a picture of them later.
Yes, later.
But then when, you were having your, lovely life with your Charlene,
in Brazil.
here we go.
Back
You got a phone call and an offer you couldn't refuse. So we have Mr. Giametti, Mr. Valentino, and Carlos.
but
So tell us.
Before that, I come back because I was in Brazil, and Pepone della Schiava, that have a new magazine. Lisette was not working anymore. He asked me to work, and I live in Milan as a fashion director, editor-in-chief of Harper's Bazaar, Italy. And I worked for 1.5 years. And one day, I received a phone call from Mr. Giametti, Giancarlo, that say, excuse me, time off, basta Milan, time to come back to Rome. I have a new project, I would like you to help us. And it was a secondary line of Valentino called Oliver. And
Which I adore.
Oliver was the name of Valentino's second pug, because he had another one, Josephine, that was named after Andy Warhol. Andy Warhol named the dog, Josephine. It was a little black pug. And anyway, Valentino and Giancarlo started this secondary line called Oliver.
This is the logo.
And this is the logo.
It was
and
a young line, very popular in the 80s and in the 90s.
And so I was asked to do image coordinator of the line, and Charlene was also working. And so it was the family back together in Rome.
So what did you learn working there? What is the best lesson that Valentino and Giametti taught
Well,
you?
you can see up to today, this is a brand that is so important and a great voice on the world of fashion. Fantastic Italian house, conceived in an Italian family way. And I was very lucky enough to be part of this family and to be raised and learn so much from Giancarlo and from Valentino.
Tell us a little bit about Valentino's personality.
Well, very demanding,
That we can say.
with an incredible memory, an elephant memory, very meticulous,
Oh, really?
very meticulous. I mean, he spot you up from up, down in 1 second, but an incredible person to be close by, and I learned so much, impeccable taste, seeing fittings, the way he works, their creativity. Valentino is different from many other designers because he was formed on the French way of couture. Everything,
In
a
the
collection,
50s.
a collection starts with a pen and a pencil, a pencil and a paper. It was all in black and white. He would start designing and not looking at looks or things that he likes.
Yeah, mood boards or
Not
things
mood
like
boards.
that. No.
It was everything born in a pencil with his sketching. And he used to, there is a famous story that he tells, and everybody knows, common knowledge. Valentino sometimes wake up in the middle of the night and have a pad by his side because an idea would come in his dreams maybe. So he was sketching. and putting the sketches aside. He arrived to the fashion house with a whole piles of sketches, and that's the way a collection was done. And that's different from today, because nowadays there's a lot of fashion shopping in vintage stores and things that are differently done. And he's part of the old school of couture, and I was very lucky to learn that side as well.
Because you, as we can say, you work for Oliver, and then also you work for, helping Valentino doing fashion, organizing fashion show, doing backstage things.
With
and
Giancarlo. With Giancarlo, that was the creative side, not the fashion, but the way you put a show together, the invitation, the idea behind the scenery or how do fashion show. And I was lucky enough to be part of this table, composed by 4 or 5 people, and so.
And you are now part of this, of Valentino and Giametti extended family. So you know them very well also in private, not only from a business point of view, because I think that Giancarlo is the godfather of one of your, the second son, and Valentino is the godfather of the first one.
Yeah.
So how they are in private. Can you tell us how they are in private? Are they, no, because they look impeccable, refined, they are great entertainers, but even when they have a TV dinner, are they impeccable?
Oh.
They don't have TV dinners. Thank you.
But a family again, Italian family. I was lucky enough to be a part of this extended family.
Yes.
And we have wonderful moments, holidays together, a lot of fights, a lot of work. And this is part of the career anyway. But it was lucky enough.
Okay. Now.
And up to today, we're still good friends.
Okay, that's good. Now, I would like to show you a couple of pictures of the Oliver Valentino collection with a very young Eva Zigova. This is Valentino Spring Summer 1993. And I love that.
Milan,
I remember I was shown in Paris, and it was nice because she arrived with the pugs that they were the symbol, the logos of this young line. So
beautiful Eva Zigova.
The rest of the world happened to know and dearly love the intimate and touching portrait of Valentino in the documentary Valentino, the Last Emperor. And this documentary not only revealed Valentino with a very nice, engaging, and entertaining tone, but also pioneered a long list of documentaries that are based now on fashion houses and fashion designers. So anyway, tell us about the idea of making this a documentary. How did the idea come about?
There was, before this, Matt Tirnawa, there is the director, came and did a very great article on Valentino and Giancarlo for Vanity Fair. He used to work there. And he came and he did this article that was a huge success, really great and wonderful. He comes later to Giancarlo and say, we have a proposal to do maybe this documentary. We need something like 3 months of your time where you're going to be taped, mic'd, and we will follow up from morning to night, and we see the way you work, the collections and all that. This, instead of 3 months, was 2 years and a half. And all of a sudden, because he was in a moment where Valentino's career, he ends up with his retirement. And it was the moment of Valentino where we really did a lot of work, and it was incredible because it was such an important moment, really, really special. But the 2 years and a half were really, and they keep saying, so I think we're going to finish here. And Giancarlo say, no, but we have this special party that is coming now in Venice that we're going to do. So he will go a little bit more. And it ends up with the incredible celebrations of Valentino 45 years.
We will see that later.
That took place in Rome. That was where all the fashion world collide. A lot of friends from all over the world came.
But what I really like about this movie is the fact that Valentino, for the rest of the world, apart from the people that happen to know him, professionally, and Valentino has an incredible sense of humor. this is something that we found out, watching this movie, the wonderful love story that he and Giancarlo Giammetti share through all this life. So it was a very nice, intimate portrait. And Valentino is so nice and easy in front of the camera. He's very at ease, right?
Absolutely. No, but he changed very much the way the world see Valentino and Giancarlo. And I was there to see, all of a sudden, Valentino and Giancarlo would come and walk Madison, and we couldn't walk anymore. Because all of a sudden, everybody coming for autographs and everybody coming to Giancarlo, because Giancarlo, all his life, worked behind Valentino.
Yeah. The business side.
Business side and putting Valentino. And so finally, everybody comes and see the work of Giancarlo.
But the success, the huge success of the movie, was a big surprise for you, or you were expecting something?
I remember very well, I was invited to see a screening here downtown, and it was very few people. And when I come out, Valentino and Giancarlo haven't seen the movie, and the movie is very emotional. And all of a sudden, I have tears in my eyes at the end of the movie. And I talk to Giancarlo and I say, you don't know, I'm so emotional, it's so beautiful, so great. And then there was the opening in Venice, where they did have a standing ovation of 15 minutes. And Valentino and Giancarlo, they were not so sure, they didn't like so much the movie. They were not so at easy with all the contents, because it was a personal life and all that, and there was a lot of the fights, the discussions, that nobody see that side, but that was the funny side.
Yes.
But anyway, after the standing ovation, Valentino and Giancarlo loved the movie.
That's good. So, as you told us before, you at Valentino worked also literally backstage, organizing fashion shows and special events. So normally, for the audience, a fashion show lasts between 5 and 7 minutes, and it takes days to prepare. So tell us,
months
or
also.
months, exactly. Knowing Valentino, yes. So tell us how a Valentino show comes to life.
Well, that was my work there, was exactly that table that I mentioned with Giancarlo. We would see all the other details that are not the dress exactly. So the putting together of the show, the choice of the music, what it was going to be the stage, with the casting of the models, and all those details. That is a lot of work, and we did that for so many years, but really special.
Have you ever panicked before a fashion show, the beginning of a fashion show?
I don't think so.
No.
And this is a question that many journalists come to Valentino and say, are you nervous? Are you going, it's minutes before, you're not shaking or whatever. Valentino say, listen, the collection is ready. What can I do? I'm really thinking of the next. It's done.
Yes, but you working backstage and try to, dot the I's and cross the T's. Everything has to be perfect because Mr. Valentino wants pure perfection. So you organizing these kind of things, you never panic?
I was part of a machine that was but after so many years, I worked there 35 years until the end. So with time, there was no panic.
No. Valentino is also well known for being an impeccable host, and he conceived beautiful, beautiful fashion shows and beautiful fashion events, and we selected 2, and I really would like you to comment them. Okay, this is another picture of Oliver, and this is a circus ball that Valentino was at Valentino's birthday party at Studio 54 in the late 70s, and this is you and Luciano
Villarini.
La Pierrot, yes.
And this is a party because Valentino and Giancarlo, they are famous through all his career. I remember there's a story that Giancarlo tells when he got a very big check from a contract that they did here in America. He say, tonight we do a party, or 2 days later. I was not there yet. Anyway, helped by many people of the fashion, including Diana Vreeland and all that, they threw out a beautiful, huge party at the Pierre Hotel. And the theme was all about India or something like that. And they did the decor. That was a house, that was a vision of a fashion house that not only does fashion, but celebrate a lifestyle and a way to receive, a way to show the world, the class, and things that they all learn as well, because it's everything learned with time and work.
So
This is a
here
party.
was, yes,
This
the
was a
circus
party,
team.
The
And
circus team, Valentino, threw a party at Studio 54 that was really the place to be there. And he was the team was circus. And the invitation was done by Joe Eula, an incredible illustrator. And we all...
Joe Eula is, for the rest of the audience, the guy who did all the posters of Liza Minnelli concert, among the rest.
And worked with Halston for many years.
Halston a lot. And
Giancarlo also,
WWD.
in his vision, he called Eula that illustrate many collections and did many works for Valentino as well. So this party is in Studio 54, and the team was circus. And Studio 54, you arrived there. There was the guests on the back side of the room. There was a curtain that will go down. And the team was circus, and everybody came dressed.
This is Egon von Furstenberg and Valentino.
Egon von Furstenberg, and Valentino was the ringmaster. And Giancarlo got incredible costumes from Fellini film clowns.
The clowns.
And he was a Pierrot? No, Arlequin. You are an Arlequin, and me and Luciano, that we used to work together, there was a white Pierrot, a white Pierrot and a black Pierrot. And in the middle is Daniela Giardina, that was a trapezist.
And Daniela Giardina worked a lot for Valentino, for the couture,
she
especially.
Was head of PR for many years.
In Rome.
And I start also working with her, gluing pieces of articles in the beginning. So I did all the steps.
Of course, as we have to. Another big party is the party that Valentino organized celebrating his 45th anniversary. And he did a great retrospective at Arapacis, a little idea of the Valentino red dresses, famous Valentino red dresses. Red is one of the fetish colors.
Really incredible. It was 3 days of celebration where all the world of fashion collide. There was people from America,
Look
from
at the decor of this room, and that was the gala.
Yeah, this was a room at Villa Borghese, and it was staged by Dante Ferretti, and was very much in tone with what happened yesterday at the Met. It was Shanghai 1930s. And with an incredible audience, everybody together, and you see
Karl
Lagerfeld, all of them. But
Colin Firth, Bob Colacello, we could, and Patrick McCarthy, Donatella, Versace.
No, you name it. Everyone in the world of fashion
was
there.
one of the most memorable events. I mean, he did two events in
Two
Rome.
events. The first night was welcoming everybody. It was in the Temple of Venus, nearby the Colosseum. And I remember some friends, because there was an incredible moment when those ladies, they fly over in incredible wires. How do they call that? They are up in the air with incredible dresses, long, and flying across the Colosseum. And I remember, friends from the fashion, there was Carolina Herrera and young Zach Posen. They all looking with the aria, Norma. Yeah, it was a Gala singing. Ooh. And people looking at this and all that with tears in their eyes, because it was very
emotional, very touching.
Emotional, really great. And that was incredible evening in Temple of Venus the night before, and the second night was the Dante Ferretti Shanghai 30s atmosphere.
Okay, now let's talk about your special relationship with celebrities, because part of your glamorous job is to convince them to dress. It's not that difficult because the dresses are beautiful, but to convince them to dress Valentino, to be dressed in Valentino for the Oscar nights or for other, social special occasions. So I selected some, celebrities in Valentino, and I would like to start with Julia Roberts, her Oscar 2001 for Erin Brockovich, vintage Valentino, This
it.
is an iconic dress, and I think that
And
you have
this
something
dress,
to tell us,
up,
right?
Up to today, this dress, when you Google Oscars or whatever, this is one of the biggest dresses. Because Valentino was this incredible designer, and I used, in one of my mentions, that I used to go also to award shows in the West Coast, trying to dress the ladies, and we used to do phone calls when the nominations come out, and we make a list, we do a proposal, so we send a letter to Julia Roberts and say, we'd love to dress you in this special night of your career, we'd love to do something special for you. And the answer is, no, thank you very much, I'm American, I'm going to be dressed in America. I am in Los Angeles, and all of a sudden, that season, I asked Giancarlo, can we please bring those other 20 dresses, because there was so much things going on, I couldn't get the last collection. I have very few dresses, but I took something like vintage dresses from past seasons. So I am there, we're trying to dress everyone. I receive a phone call from the stylist of Julia and say, panic station. None of the dresses from the Americans work. We are not happy. Can you help us? I say, come along. She took something like 4 or 5 dresses, and she called me the next morning and say, she's set. She's going to be dressed in, look, I don't know what, black and white. I say, no, you're joking me. I'll believe when I see her on the catwalk. Because many of the times people promise, would say, I'll be dressed like that. And then you look at the red carpet, it was something else. Anyway, this dress, the truth is that up to today I tell a young little niece of Julia, Emma Roberts, a star right now, she's the one that picked the dress to Auntie, because she's trying all the dresses, and all of a sudden she sees this and say, that's the dress, and you're also going to do something. When you walk up, you turn and show your back, because the dress is very beautiful.
Yes, it's beautiful, and it has
a beautiful detail in the back.
It's pleated and it's black.
So up to today, I go to Emma Roberts and I say, I own you one.
And this is Kate Blanchett, Oscar for The Aviator, with a lovely yellow Valentino. Valentino actually brings luck to all the stars, because
Valentino
when they are dressing
not only
Valentino,
bring luck,
they
but
got the Academy Award.
He's also the designer with ladies collecting Oscar, the biggest number. He is the one Armani have for the men's, for the suits, but Valentino have for the ladies with the dresses.
Very nice.
And this one, it was something very particular, because all of a sudden I go to Hollywood and I try to dress as many as I can. And somebody from her side comes to me and say, she wants to be in Valentino. There is only one detail. She wants to be the only one that night in Valentino. So I say, but how do we go about it? And I proposed this to Giancarlo, to Valentino, and say, no way. I want many stars and all that. I say, but listen, she's going to win. We're going to have an Oscar in our hands there, up there. And we end up also doing a contract, a written contract. She only will be in Valentino, and I'm supposed to do 2 or 3 couture gowns for her, and we did it good.
And then we have another good friend, Gwyneth Paltrow.
This is Gwyneth, that is recently at the Met.
Yes.
That is another dear friend of the family, and wonderful, good-looking beauty.
And Anne Hathaway, she actually got married dressing Valentino.
She did indeed.
And we have 2 Anne Hathaway. How is Anne Hathaway? I mean,
yesterday
is another part of the family, I think, right?
Yesterday we were together again.
At the Met Ball.
Yeah, the Met Ball. She's a wonderful friend. And everything started with our relation when Valentino is invited to be part of Devil Wears Prada.
We will see a clip later on. Oh, so tell us, yes. So
Devil Wears Prada, nobody wants to be part of that project because it was against Anna Wintour. And all of a sudden, we say, no, it's not Anna Wintour, it's somebody else. It's just a movie. And
it's a fictional character. I mean, the reality is totally different.
And all of a sudden, Valentino does his first cameo with the super Oscar winner, Meryl Streep.
Yes. And you became friend of Gwyneth Gwyneth of Anne Hathaway, right
Well,
away.
Anne Hathaway played the young
Yes, the assistant,
part on
yes.
the assistant, and we team up on that. And later on, when she comes for Venice, there is the Venice Film Festival. Valentino, in his yacht, did a big dinner for Devil Wears Prada, and so that's the friendship.
Started.
That's it.
So you and Liz Hurley, we're gonna go through.
This is all the friends from. This is a Vanity Fair party. Wonderful Liz now.
And the lovely Daphne Guinness on the right.
Daphne
She's a
Guinness
couture
and-
collector, very good
and
friend of
super
Valentino,
Claudia
and
Schiffer.
supermodel Claudia Schiffer. This is Natalia Vodianova.
And
So how many
Tamara.
models did you work with?
I mean, this
And-
is funny. Sometimes I talk with Giancarlo and Valentino how many different slots of models we've seen pass.
Yes, because it's from the 70s up to now.
up to now. So we saw all the different types of models and the way they are. And
Do you
that
have
was-
a favorite model?
I do indeed. I mean, for many, many years, Valentino would start his show, he end up, and me being a Brazilian, I'm very particular, the beautiful Dalma. That was a fantastic model from the 80s with an incredible measurements and a fantastic walk. Everybody says Giselle, and I'm Brazilian, so I'm team up from Giselle. Valentino is mad about Giselle, but I say, don't forget Dalma. Dalma, he was, I mean, all the shows would start with a red dress and end with a red dress with an incredible walk of Dalma. That was a fantastic walk.
She had
A different
lean,
way
yeah.
of showing femininity on
Yes.
the
And here we have lovely Naomi.
Naomi Divine. She was there yesterday as well. A dear friend. Can be a difficult personality,
Oh, really? Oh,
but a wonderful
really?
friend. But
Yeah.
a wonderful friend. Once when I was very sad, she took a plane from somewhere. She was a busy lady, always working all over the place. She came, hold my hand, and say,
Really?
"Listen, the best is yet to come. Stay calm." She proved herself a very nice lady that she is.
not only the celebrities, but also the great artists. I mean, we know that Carlo is very fond of art. He is with Marina Abramovic.
Marina Abramovic,
Lovely Marina Abramovic, lovely, tough
lady.
Tough
But
lady.
recently I met her, and she comes to me and say, "Got news for you. You have an angel as a son." She went to the place where my son lives in Alto Paraíso, nearby Brasilia, in Brazil. She did a film there. And my son was a little bit of her assistant and all that. And she said, "Listen, you have an angel walking on earth, and that's your son, Sean."
Oh, that's nice. You are, very fond of art. You go very often to art galleries, art fairs. Do you collect also? I mean,
Yeah.
Valentino and Giametti are big collectors.
They're beer collectors.
You're not like them, but I think. But do
But
you collect?
I collect a lot of what my kids throw in the floor because they're also artists. But I have a very curious eye.
What kind of art do you like?
I like contemporary, of course, and I have some nice few pieces. And I love photography as well. So I have many photographers, friends in
Sebastião
fashion.
Sandrago. I mean, who?
Sebastião Salgado, no.
Yeah.
Recently I was in Brasilia, and there was incredible show again, Genesis,
Yes,
again
yes,
there,
yes,
that I
yeah.
saw also here in ICP. A wonderful show, Genesis.
Where do you live?
I don't know, in a plane,
on a
I
plane.
guess. In a plane. Now, I'm constantly traveling, maybe it's too much, but I have a place in Rome that is, I consider my country, because very young I left Brazil, and nowadays I dream rigatoni a pomodoro and not feijoada, because apparently they say that you are a nationality of the food you dream. So I'm a rigatoni pomodoro boy.
Okay, this is the new chapter of Valentino story. These are Maria Grazia Curia and Pierpaolo Piccioli. They are the designers, the creative directors of the brand right now. They are extremely successful, and I think that they keep the legacy very, very
And
nicely.
that's their success. They work under Valentino because Giancarlo got them to come and start accessories at Valentino. There is a big place now in the fashion house nowadays. Something like 52% is accessories. And they come and they do an incredible success. We used to close them in the vaults of the vintage Valentino, feed them food under the door, and after 2 weeks they will come back with something iconic from the Valentino archives. With one dress, they will do a whole collection because they believed in DNA of Valentino. They believe in the embellishing, the details of Valentino. They love the red color. And they work under Valentino for 14 years.
Yes, so they keep the legacy.
They keep the legacy, and they are doing a huge success. My life is so easy.
So you
I don't have to call, they call me.
Just to be clear now, you work for Valentino and Giametti and also for them. You
Yes,
work for
I work
both.
with Valentino and Giancarlo in the private agenda. And recently we did beautiful 2 books with Assulin, and one was Giancarlo private.
It was a huge success. It's a
Private
huge
GG.
book. It's beautiful.
And it's 40 years of Giancarlo that collect in his diary all the dinners, all the places that they have been, and pictures, Polaroids. So there was a lot of documents for this.
It's
And
a
we
lovely
have-
coffee table book, but it's a nice,
It's a
you know,
huge
yes.
success.
Yeah, it is.
And we did this book, and then we did a second one also with Valentino that
At the
came out
Emperor's
recently.
Table.
And there is the art of the table and how Valentino receives at home, and his beautiful tables and his love for beautiful objects. And he's also worked with Mr. Andrea Leontali.
Yes, he did
The
the
introduction.
introduction.
Yeah.
He wrote the introduction. So let's have a quick look of the new Valentino, because they kept the legacy, they kept the DNA, but at the same time they inject their modern version. So this is a recent couture show, which is impeccable, timelessly chic, and the craftsmanship is still.
Yeah, those are ladies that work for Valentino.
Beautiful.
Valentino, we have ladies that work for 40 years
Yes,
there.
yeah.
And they're still there, they love the house, and those are special hands that you don't find anymore. And some time ago, none of the young people wanted to go and learn a craft. Everybody preferred to sell a T-shirt and sell in a store out in the streets.
Yeah.
And now we have to extend our premises at the couture house, so many interested young people to learn a craft. So we have impeccable craftsmanship, 40 years school with Valentino.
And if you see The Last Emperor, you can, you know, if you want to rent the movie, which is really interesting also because a lot of, you know,
Details.
a lot for the details and from the crafting, you have nice close-ups of the making of a dress, which is the wonderful part of being a couturier or being in the fashion. Being in fashion, you want to see something not on the hanger, but you want to see
The
something.
details
the
inside
details
out.
inside. You want to really see
Couture.
the everything from the inside out. Anyway, this is another lovely event that they organized at the Old Whitney Museum on Madison Avenue last December. It is called the White Night. And this is an interesting example of how they keep the DNA, because they made an homage, right?
To Valentino. It's called Sala Bianca, and there was one of the first moments when Valentino was recognized internationally. Sala Bianca is in Florence, and Valentino did this incredible show that from one day to the other, everybody was buying Valentino, everybody's the new clients, and they did this homage to the house, and it was presented now in December. In December here, and Giancarlo and Valentino that were present in New York, they have to go back to Europe because they didn't know yet that it was a special homage of the Sala Bianca. So I called Giancarlo and say, Giancarlo,
You have
Sala
to-
Bianca, you gotta come back. And they have left some like 4 or 5 days before. So they returned for this, and it was a huge success.
So it's also interesting because Jackie Kennedy married Aristotele Onassis in Scorpios in 1968. She picked a dress from that iconic white collection that was shown in the Sala Bianca at Palazzo Pitti. So it was a huge moment and a huge success
Indeed.
for, international success of Valentino.
She was already, Jackie was already a
friend.
client of Valentino, because Valentino started dressing her when she was mourning Kennedy. So he did a whole collection for her in black and all that, and she always...
Plus they spent, a lot of
Traveling.
summers in Capri and...
and international travels that she did. And
yes, when she went to India.
absolutely. And anyway, when she's marrying Onassis, she was also in a cocktail dress of Valentino in lace.
Yes,
white.
and that was all over the world.
All
I
over
remember
the
that.
world.
I remember that. So, we mentioned before how Valentino dresses are truly an object of desire among celebrities and Hollywood stars. But it also seems that Hollywood itself loves Valentino a lot and loves to cast him or his défilés or both in the movies. So, okay, tell us how the three of you ended up being on a big screen with La Mer.
Oh, no, invited by Meryl, that Valentino have dressed before, and we are part of the movie because all the clothes are real Valentino. So we showed the clothes. There was a scene with this fashion show, and it was incredible to look at Meryl Streep, the way she works at her work, because she did 3 takes greeting Valentino, and one different than the other. And she would say to the director, I think that's the good one. She knew exactly which one, but one different than the other in incredible way. The craftsmanship was impeccable. And it was nice to see young Anne Hathaway.
Yes. So last March, this is not only the first example, because last March in Paris during the Valentino shows, Owen Wilson and Ben Stiller invaded the catwalk, and we all realized that they were filming the sequel of Zoolander. It was a fashion parody that came out, the first movie, in 2001. And the new Zoolander 2 will be out next February. And again, we will see Valentino shows.
Yeah.
Did they go backstage or not?
Who?
The two
Oh, no,
of them.
no, everything was planned.
Yes, of course,
around
but you know
this.
what? We're gonna see some also backstage, shootings, or just the.
They did already, together with Anna Winter, that worked on this, and it was very difficult to keep secret. But at the same time, we are not so sure, because how many years ago was Zoolander? And this little stunt that they did at the Paris Couture, it was I ready to wear?
Yes. Okay.
All of a sudden, the audience, after seeing it was a Clint-inspired collection, very heavy, very serious and all that, the music stops and those two come out. And we are not so sure if the people are going to understand, and it was a huge success, because after a month and a half of New York, London, Milan, Paris fashion shows, that it was the steam is off. Everybody laughed, and everybody, it's a cult movie. So everybody was thrilled to see the two of them again.
But
on
why did they
action.
choose Valentino?
Because we were friends for a long time, and I remember meeting Ben Stiller.
Oh, here we go.
The first time there was a show in Rome, La Scalinata di Piazza di Spagna, and I remember in the same year, there's 2 personalities that are in town, and I say, Giancarlo, let's invite those 2. We don't know. One was a lady that arrived, and in 5 seconds, she conquered all our hearts. Her name, Oprah Winfrey. Incredible personality, so loving, but I never saw somebody grab your heart so
Really?
fast. In 3 sentences, she conquered you. She's so special. Very special. And in that same occasion, Ben Stiller is in town, and we have a dinner at Giancarlo's place after this Scalinata di Spagna. And I remember ending up the night with another friend, where the three of us in a little Vespa going around Rome and having
Your Roman
a good time.
holidays.
And he's back in Rome now doing the Zoolander. They are filming there now.
Oh, okay. So now let's forget the parties, let's forget the leaders, and let's concentrate on family values. So
All right,
this
there you
is the picture of your family. So
There you go.
the kids, the
kids
wife,
are all right.
the kids
Yeah.
are all right. And so was it difficult to raise two kids, considering that you and Charlene both have a
Traveling all the
yeah.
time and working. Well, anyway, being Brazilian, when we came back to Italy, we have two nannies that up to today are in our lives. I think very much Italian also, no? Because you always have the tata, you
Yes.
go back to the tata. And the two ladies that will travel a lot with Giancarlo and Valentino being all over the place, but we have the family and those two ladies that one got married in Italy. She's Italian with two kids. We have helped them to raise our family.
And what are they doing now?
The two of them on
Yeah,
the right,
kind of recent.
on the left here is Sean, the old one, that lives in Alto Paraíso. He is
The one that Marina Abramovic loves.
there you go. They're both vegetarian, completely yoga teachers. They have their brevet of yoga teachers. And
But one work also with Madonna.
yeah, the young one, Anthony, that is a sound engineer. He's working in music. He also a photographer. And he did a movie, Madonna W.E., where he was the still pictures for the movie. So he took a lot of pictures. And Madonna also liked their music, their DJing. She cast them for the Oscar party that she had, one of the best parties after the Oscar. And they were playing DJ 2 years ago for them.
But also DJ for some Valentino's parties, right?
Oh no, for Valentino, we go around the world. They always do a lot of the fashion world nowadays. Very good music, dance music.
What did you learn from your kids?
Baby, they teach me the direction nowadays. I think that's the best gift of my life. I guess I was so lucky to have them in my life. And they are my guiding light.
Good. So now, so far we have met Carlos, the ambassador, Carlos, the celebrity friends, Carlos, the extra in the movies, and now is the Carlos later incarnation. Carlos, let's meet Carlos, the author.
Carlos
So,
Places.
Carlos Places.
A wonderful book with Asulini. In one of my meetings, when we are working for Private GG, I'm there in the meeting with Martin and Prosper, and I'm playing at Asulin, and I'm playing a little bit on my Instagram. And Martin say, Carlos, please pay attention. We are busy here. What you doing? I say, I'm Instagramming our meeting and all that. Show the word. I'm already promoting it. And she say, Insta what? She didn't know exactly what it was. So
No, not the only one.
In 10 minutes, I put her on Instagram. I give her a name. She start following me. The next morning, she look at my pictures. She call me and say, Carlos, we need to do a book together. Love your images. I like it very much. Let's do an Instagram book. All of a sudden, she look at more after I gave 3 years and a half of my iPhone contents. All those pictures.
Carlos is a cult figure. I mean, a lot of followers. He has a lot of followers on
Not so
Instagram.
many.
And you know what?
Not
it's
so
fine
many,
for-
but the
anyway.
good ones. And anyway, after looking at all the images, she said, Carlos, it's not an Instagram book. It's a destination book. Because you travel the same cities, you go all over the place, and your eyes are very curious, and we can read also your positive energy through your postings. And that's something that many people came to me and told.
What did you? How many cities did you choose? How many destinations did you choose? in this
Well,
book?
it's the circuit that I do constantly in the axis of fashion. So it's Paris, London, Los Angeles, Roma, the cities that I visit during the holidays. I love Amalfi Coast. That
Venice.
is so beautiful. And Venice and a lot of my Brazil, because I go back for family.
So let's have a little, taste of. Okay. Yummy pasta, Positano. So,
Positano. I love food, and I'm also cook a little bit. So
okay, tell us. Are you a good cook?
After each city, I did a kind of a little memo with the 5 hotels that I like, the 5 places that you have to go, the restaurants, the shopping area. It's a destination book. So there's
it's
a lot
nice
of
because you have a guidebook that is not the regular guidebook. And by the way, you know, in few minutes, you can go upstairs, have a look of the book, and have the book signed by Carlos. We have book upstairs for you. And so this is another picture and another city.
That's my home away from home, because going to Paris always for the fashion shows, where we go 6 times a year between ready-to-wear, couture, and men's shows. I also always live at the Hotel Coste. Yeah, that's it. That is a nice spot. Now, too young for me. I want a little bit more comfort, and it's a kind of a nightclub now.
But it's good. It's nice.
But they don't let me go.
I wait. And
this is Charlene's place in Bahia. It's a beautiful house that she did in a kind of a Balinese style. There are 2 compounds, very nice, with an incredible situation. We can look 10 kilometers one side, 10 kilometers, there's no one. We go walking in the morning at 6 o'clock and you don't see a soul. It's a very secluded place with not so much...
Instagram and telephone and cell phone.
Yeah, so it's a total relax, and you relax also your head.
Are you planning to do a second book with Ursuline?
For sure. I want to do many more. There's so many other cities that I love. They're not included on the first. So I want to do like Lisbon, Marrakesh, many other cities that are missing there.
But are you really planning? I mean, is it an idea or
it's an idea that we have to mature, and we have to wait minimum 2 years, because I have a very busy schedule. But I want to travel a little bit of the Orient and show a little bit of my eye on those beautiful places.
Okay, overall, it seems that you have a great, glamorous life. So what is the best advice you can give to the young kids that eventually would like to start working in fashion?
Well, have the chance to find somebody very special that you like or admire, and try to get a stage, someplace, but it's very hard work. It's not, a lot of people see the world of fashion as just glamour, but it's hard work as well. You have to be convinced of the direction you want in your life, and this is something that Valentino always say. You follow your dream, be consistent, and really be ready for hard work.
Now, I think that is the book signing time is on, so we can go upstairs. And thank you very much, Carlos.